The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the doors hissed open. Era stepped through, her boots echoing against polished obsidian floors that had witnessed 1,000 years of interstellar diplomacy. Around her, beings from dozens of worlds shifted in their seats, scales rasping against metal, feathers rustling, chitinous plates clicking in nervous rhythm. She was small by galactic standards, fragile, a mammal from a death world that had only recently clawed its way into the stars. Yet every eye in that chamber tracked her movement with the wariness predators reserved for the unknown. Ambassador Thorn of the Vakri Dominion watched from his elevated platform. His forearms crossed over his armored chest. The Vakri were apex hunters, their species having conquered 12 star systems through sheer predatory excellence. Thorn's golden eyes, pupils slit like a serpent's, never left the human as she approached the speaker's podium. "The Council recognizes the human delegation," the Arbiter announced, its translated voice emanating from every direction at once. "You have requested emergency session. State your purpose." Era's jaw tightened. She had prepared for this moment during the 3-week journey from Earth, rehearsing arguments and counter-arguments. The Vakri Dominion had blockaded the Terran colony on Kepler 442b, claiming humans had violated the Sentience Protection Accords by establishing settlements in protected wilderness zones. "Honorable Council," Era began, her voice steady despite the weight of 100 alien gazes, "humanity stands accused of criminal negligence. The Vakri claim we have—" A sound cut through her words, high-pitched, desperate, the universal frequency of infant distress. Every being in the chamber froze. In the visitors' gallery above, a small figure tumbled over the railing. A Vakri youngling, no larger than a human child, its underdeveloped wings fluttering uselessly as gravity claimed it. The fall was 30 meters, onto solid stone, fatal, even for one of the galaxy's most resilient species. Time crystallized. Thorn roared, a sound of primal anguish that transcended language. He launched himself from his platform, forearms outstretched, but he was too far, too slow. The mathematics of velocity and distance were merciless. Era moved. Later, xenobiologists would study the footage frame by frame, analyzing human reaction time and neuromuscular coordination. They would note the instantaneous calculation, the explosive sprint, the way she threw herself forward without hesitation or self-preservation. She caught the cub 3 meters from the ground. The impact drove them both down. Era twisted mid-fall, cradling the youngling against her chest, taking the collision with the floor across her back and shoulders. The crack of bone against stone echoed through the chamber. For 3 heartbeats, nothing moved. Then Era rolled slowly to her side, still clutching the cub. She gasped, ribs broken, certainly, possibly worse, but her arms remained locked in protective embrace. The youngling mewled, frightened but alive, its tiny claws gripping the fabric of her uniform. Thorn reached them first, dropping to his knees with a crash that cracked the polished floor. His claws trembled as he reached out, then stopped, as if afraid his predatory strength might damage what the fragile human had preserved. "Your child," Era whispered. Her voice strained with pain and carefully transferred the cub into Thorn's arms. The ambassador clutched his offspring, a keening sound emerging from his throat, the Vakri expression of overwhelming emotion. Around the chamber, beings rose from their seats. The Morellian delegation, 6-limbed hunters whose ancestors had terrorized their homeworld's megafauna. The Kasich swarm, whose warrior caste had never known defeat. The crystalline shardborn, whose very biology was weaponized. One by one, every predator species in that room bowed their heads. It was not submission. It was recognition. Humans were not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most advanced. But in that moment, every predator in the galaxy's most powerful assembly understood something fundamental about the species from Earth. They understood instinct. Predators knew the instinct to hunt, to kill, to dominate. It was written into their evolutionary code, burned into their neural pathways through millions of years of survival. But this was different. The human had not calculated, had not weighed risk versus reward, had not considered politics or consequences or even her own survival. She had simply seen a child falling and moved, overriding every rational thought with an instinct more powerful than self-preservation. The instinct to protect the young, any young, even the offspring of those who threatened her species. Thorn stood slowly, his cub secure in his arms, and looked down at Era as medical teams rushed to her side. "Why?" he asked, his voice breaking. "We are your enemies. I came here to see your colonies destroyed. Why would you risk your life for my blood?" Era managed a pained smile. "Because that's what we do," she said simply. "It's who we are." The medical team arrived with a hovering stretcher, but before they could move her, Thorn placed one massive hand, so large it covered her entire shoulder, gently against her arm. "The blockade is lifted," he said, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. "Kepler 442b belongs to humanity. The Vakri Dominion will sponsor Earth's petition for full council membership." He paused, his golden eyes meeting hers. "And the Vakri people will remember that a human fell to save our future when she had every reason to let him die." As they carried Ira away, the council chamber remained standing in silence. The arbiter's voice finally broke the stillness. "Session adjourned. The matter is resolved." But everyone present knew the truth. The matter wasn't resolved, it was transformed. In that single moment of instinctive sacrifice, humanity had proven something no amount of military might or technological advancement could demonstrate. They had proven they carried something rare in a galaxy of predators: the instinct to cherish life more than they feared death. 3 weeks later, when Era returned to Earth for the completion of her medical treatment, she found Thorn waiting at the spaceport. Beside him stood his cub, healthy and bright-eyed. The young Vakri approached her carefully, then did something unprecedented in his species' history. He lowered his head and pressed his forehead against her hand, the gesture a Vakri child used to show absolute trust to a parent. "His name," Thorn said quietly, "is Era Saved, so that our people will never forget the day a human taught predators what it truly means to be strong." Era knelt, still moving carefully around healing ribs, and met the cub's golden eyes. In them she saw the future, not a galaxy divided by species and suspicion, but one united by understanding. Sometimes strength wasn't about what you could destroy. Sometimes it was about what you were willing to save.